And I'd have backed that truck. Had I known that's what happened, I'd have backed it up on top of that car. Just for insurance.
We'd have had a discussion then, yeah. Absolutely. You're going to have to get control of this court, that's all there is to it.
All right, Bob, we're going to ready to start.
As if you've ever been in control of it.
Yeah.
That may be the deal.
Mark, see if she's ready. I didn't see her waiting.
We can share it. You just corner the market. Thanks for sharing with the rest of us. It's always more fun. You're all here.
You got your first ticket yet, Tommy? You got your first ticket yet? No. It'll come. Oh, it'll come.
Are you speaking from experience?
Yeah, absolutely. It'll come. It'll be one of those old good ones, too. You know.
Hey, Bill, I talked to Bill Patty. I didn't know he was back with y'all.
3 weeks ago.
Good. He's a good hand. Yeah. Yeah.
Having audio problems.
I've been been around Bill for a long, long time.
Really?
Yeah.
You might ask Joyce to go in there and help her.
He was there before that left for 9 years and came back.
Yeah.
Good to bring him back.
Yeah, he's a very knowledgeable fella and done a lot of stuff.
I wonder if she's talking to Nancy right now on the car.
Yeah. You know,
When I said that about
did
Joyce,
he mention or anything about his son? What is his son doing now?
I don't know. I'll find out.
I think he was a pretty smart boy, too. Yeah.
I'll check. I'll let you know tomorrow.
As long as we're not too worried about anybody else, I'm not going to go to Tony.
Yeah.
He's an important cog, you know. We are.
Yeah, he'll be up there and.
He tends to treat us very well.
Yeah.
oh, cool.
He was the last time we were in Lubbock, he was telling us about them selling. Old boy out down in Graham and his wife's $30,000 underwear or something like that.
It was a bleacher guy,
Yeah,
wasn't
bleacher guy, said it was.
it? We went down there, I went with him several times. There was another property in Almy that the city economic development had got. And we thought there was a big vessel. They build these vessels to help with headaches or
Yeah.
it's like being in a submarine underneath the water, but there was an uncompleted one, and it was going to go for nothing, and we were. Have you been looking at this other stuff on our friend east of town? Is that not one?
Somebody go in there and mess with the knobs?
No, it's the sound's going out. It's just I can't hear it in there.
And,
But we're
and you know, I don't know what's true and what's not true. And that somebody asked me about it yesterday. And I said,
Somebody turn a
I
knob?
read the same thing you read. I said, I don't know.
Well,
First thing is it plugged in, second thing is it
We've
turned
been hearing
on.
those rumors.
yeah. My grandmother did
everything's
that to
turned
me.
on. It's just not
She
working.
calls me and
Deal's
she
probably
says,
gonna come from
son,
another.
I want you to go down to my
Is it Doug or Dub?
I I think she called it a night.
It sounded like she
She
said
might
dub.
come up and do this and squeeze something.
There is a dub.
There is a dub,
She
yeah.
was like,
Maybe that's what
He's the
it
guy
sounds
that has the meat market over here off
well,
of.
just quit
like. You
working.
don't know what Dub's saying?
I said, oh,
I should, now, don't
okay. So
Back
I did all this
in the
research and find out how much that's gonna cost
Married
and stuff, and by that time I went over.
sister of the
And I said, well, let's look at your man.
father
This
down.
bitch was
What's
unemployed.
her, Kelly?
Yeah.
Oh, I was so
They
mad.
married this.
We had a
Oh, is that
I don't know.
Colonel was
Something
talking
tells
to him,
me
he
that.
kept calling everybody kept
Okay.
answering.
Dub goes to our
Yeah.
church.
He called.
Well,
me
does he
about
have kids over
second
there?
officer. He drove
he
by
does.
Main.
'Cause he's-
Said that
He
she
was
knows.
mad, Dusty was crying. He
He-
said,
Does Terry know?
"You better fix this now, bro." I said, yes, sir. I'm like,
Yeah,
"See,
yeah, she
Well,
does.
then that's
Yeah.
good.
That's who it is. Oh my gosh.
He over and turned the speaker from off.
I mean, he's older than Landon. See, Dub's mama kept the kids when, for a long time growing up, and Dub's quite a bit older than Landon, so Dub would be.
All right,
he'd be
we're
around
back.
40
It's
probably.
9:11. Let's call this meeting to order. It's Wichita County Commissioners Court. Glad to have y'all here today.
Yeah, that's who it is.
At this time, I would like to call on Commissioner Beecham to give the invocation.
I'm going to ask Bob Hampton to do that for us.
Be glad to. Let's pray. Heavenly Father, we come to you grateful. We are so thankful for this great country that you provided, the privilege that we have of living in this great state. Thank you for the ladies that avail themselves, the daughters of the Republic of Texas, and the time that they spend of helping us to remember our history and focus on that, what made us the way we are today, the greatness of this great state. Lord, we're very thankful for the watch care that you provided over our dear colleague, Willie Wall, and we just thank you for the fact that it wasn't any more serious as those despicable people attacked him this past week. And we ask for your guidance now as you lay your healing hands on him and restore him. Now, help us, Lord, to do your business here today in this court. Thank you for these men that provide their time to guide this county. Help us to do the things that you would have us to do. Forgive us where we fail you, Lord, and guide us and help us to do the better. All this we're very careful to give you all the thanks and the praise. In your name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
Thank you, Bob. Y'all join me in the Pledge of Allegiance, please. I
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Now the Texas pledge.
Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee. Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible.
Thank you. Take your seats, please. It's my pleasure to do a proclamation today. And many of you, if you've watched it, we've seen these ladies on television talking about the marking up in Burke Burnett, Commissioner Harvey, up in your territory for this. And if you all would come forward, I'd like to bring this to you. Let me ask you all to introduce yourselves and say what you're in the organization, whatever about that you want to do. Sue, tell anything about it you want to also.
Okay, I am Sue Ramser, and I'm president of the Rebecca Jane Fisher chapter, Daughters of the Republic of Texas. And we are marking the Daughters of the Republic of Texas as part of our President General Dr. Betty Edwards' term of office project, are marking various areas of the old Republic boundaries that dates back between 1836 and 1846. Wow. And they chose the Red River in Burke Burnett to mark the Red River boundary. And we're just honored to partner with the other chapters in District 2 to do this.
That's great.
Yes.
That's great.
I'm Peggy Stanley, and I'm from Burke, and I do nothing. I've had quite a few offices, but I don't. This year,
I want to help
just
her.
me.
Very good, Peg. Yes, ma'am.
I'm Sandy Person, I'm the chaplain for Rebecca Jane Fisher chapter.
I'm Linda Jackson, and I'm the treasurer.
Oh, great. Well, we're glad all of y'all are here. Let me share this with the crowd. Proclamation, dedication of the historical site, the Red River, the northern boundary of the Republic of Texas. Now, when I read this, I read through it, and I all of a sudden went, we're talking eastern, but the ladies explained to me everything in here is right. Bob, you can appreciate this. We were probably both second lieutenants lost at one time with a map and a compass. And at any rate, whereas the Red River was a main gateway into Texas during the Spanish colonial period, and whereas the Republic recognized the Red River as a boundary when, in an act of December 19, 1836, Congress made the eastern boundary coterminous with the western boundary of the United States, as fixed by the Treaty of 1819. And whereas Texas declared its independence from Mexico on March 2, 1836, and whereas until 1846, when Texas joined the United States, it was an independent republic, and whereas this period known as the Republic of Texas is celebrated and commemorated by many historians and the lineage societies known as the Daughters of the Texas Republic, the Sons of the Texas Republic, and the Children of the Republic of Texas, whereas these persons with ancestors who lived in the Republic during the period may be eligible for membership in these societies. Now, therefore, be it proclaimed that the Wichita County Commissioners Court joins with all county citizens in celebration to recognize and honor the Daughters of the Texas Republic of Texas, marking of the historical site, the Red River, the northern boundary of the Republic of Texas at the park at 1584 East 3rd Street, Burke-Burnett, Texas. So resolved this 24th day of April 2017, signed by the members of the Commissioners Court. So let me present that to you.
Woody.
Thank you.
Woody.
There's in my desk drawer.
Well, I'll take that over there.
Here, Nancy can get them.
Which drawer?
Bottom left. Good idea.
Did some research, and we made a county coin. And on July the 20th, in 1882, Wichita County became its own county. Previous to that, we were governed by Clay County. And we have some coins that we made to commemorate the beginning of Wichita County, and we would like to give you these.
And let me do that.
Thank you.
All right. You're very welcome. Thank you all.
Thank
You got
you.
that right in that
We're
hand?
honored.
Yeah. All right.
Thank you, sir.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you all for what you're doing, and we'll hope to see you there.
Absolutely. We hope to see y'all there.
All right. Thanks. Now, you all are welcome to stay for this exciting meeting, or if you've got other things, you're more than welcome to leave also.
Okay. Judge Gossam, do you need this to present on Saturday?
I can do that, or if you bring it, either way.
It's your call.
If you bring it, I'd feel good about that.
Okay.
All right.
We will do that. Thank you so much.
That way it's there in case somehow I get waylaid.
Okay.
All right.
Thank you. And then Commissioner Harvey will.
Yes, I will.
Yeah, we'll get larger print and smaller words for you.
I'll bring my glasses.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, we do have one more presentation. Ms. Lou Kreidler from the Executive Director of the Health Department and Amy are here both to tell us something, do something.
It's just recording.
April is, the first week of April is always historically Public Health Month, Public Health Week. And we had ordered some shirts and we wanted to bring some shirts and share those with you. And on the front it says a healthy community starts with me. On the back it has our logo and it says healthy people, healthy community, which is the vision for the health district. And y'all are such an important part of what we do at the health department. We just wanted to share those with you. We all know that our vision, healthy people, healthy community, starts with each and every one of us. And it's the small changes that we make in our life today that's going to make our community healthy. As each one of us work to become healthier and make those choices each and every day, then we'll become a healthier community. As many of y'all know, we have some of the worst health outcomes in the county rankings. And so this really is the start of a campaign and a lot of the work that we're doing with many of the grants that we receive to make Wichita County a healthier community for us all to live, work, and play. So we just wanted to bring you some shirts today, and I hope that you'll wear those out in the community as leaders of our community. And we got them nice and soft so that they'll breathe and you can work out in them.
Okay.
Mine's gonna fit like spandex.
No, it should fit. If that one doesn't fit, let me know. But I got your sizes, so hopefully it'll be
You notice that was handmade by Omar.
Omar, the tent maker.
Y'all could have got him an L and let him work into it.
So
See,
we
that
have
would
an
have
event
been.
this week that you're a part of,
Oh,
correct?
you do?
Oh, thank you.
That we're part of. Thank you, Commissioner.
What is it?
Yeah.
The Circle Trail Tour is a very important event for our community, and it brings together people who are equally vested in the health and overall well-being. The City of Wichita Falls is also going to be rolling out their STEP success through everyday practices for the City of Wichita Falls. And we, I believe I don't know if they're going to have a proclamation or not, but it starts at 10. The kickoff is at 10 at the health department. And then they're going to have prizes and all kinds of things for the first people who make it to which is the benchmark for them to do. Somewhere. Yeah, like 13 miles. So the first people, so you can, and the whole goal is to encourage people to use the trail system. We have an amazing trail system that goes around the city, and people often underutilize it. So if you come out, bring the kids, bring strollers, you can walk, bike, run, anything basically on the trail that's allowable. And the goal is just to get people out and encouraged to do it. There are cheer stops along the way, and we'll have things to hand out to people. And so just come out and enjoy it.
I will be doing a cheer stop. I don't know where yet, but I will be at one of them. And our Sheriff's Citizens Association, or however you say that, they'll be doing a cheer stop as well. So.
Right.
And there are two different stops. So the middle of the trail, and then again at the end where they can bring you back to the health department if you get out there and don't feel like you can make it back. So.
And you can join in anytime during that, because I've got something else, and I think we're going to come out at noon and do.
10 to 1.
10 to 2.
10 to 2. You flattering for me. Thank y'all.
I gave you the only flyer I had. Where did it go?
It's down here at the other end.
All right, there it is. Okay.
Commissioner Watson. Well, thank y'all so much.
All right,
Thank you all.
All right. If I could ask the court to look at the consent agenda.
I'd make a motion that we accept the consent agenda as posted, Judge.
Second.
Anything for clarification or correction? Okay. We have a motion by Commissioner Mahler, a second by Commissioner Watts. Let me do just one thing. I want to be sure. No, that's later. Never mind. Okay. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries 5-0. Okay. Item number 1 is review and approve the emergency and regular bills for payment.
Make a motion to pay the regular emergency bills.
Second.
I wish the stack was smaller. Can you put that in the motion?
You know, if you move the decimal point, that would be, I don't care how tall the stack is.
It's
All right.
plenty.
Motion by Commissioner Mahler, second by Commissioner Beecham to approve the bills. Any comments or questions? Okay, all in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries 5-0. Item number 2 is discuss and review jail maintenance projects and work orders.
Well, Judge, maintenance crew did 78 work order, non-work orders last week. So, I mean, they're on top of it. They're staying on top of it. Nothing outstanding this week. So.
You mentioned last week that one of those came in late, the soap deal in the kitchen.
Yes, the soap dispenser.
Yeah, is that corrected now?
I have not received a complete work order for it, so I don't think so.
And then, okay, on down on number 7701, water in cell 3 is too hot. The question came up the other day was we had a temperature that was taken, and then I think we put in the thermostats since then, or the thermometers to read those. But we had a reading of like 139 or something, which was higher than the temperature that was leaving the boiler. Now, there could have been a, depending on which equipment, but in those monitors we put in, is there one right there at the boiler to see what it is?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, there's a thermometer right there.
Yeah.
It's attached to the boiler.
Yeah, I think it has doesn't it have 3 of them on it in different locations?
On the boiler, we just have one.
Just that one, okay.
Well, is there any chance that one could not be reading correctly? I mean, I wonder what the next one in line says it is from there to there.
This work order was generated on the 5th. So that was before we got all these thermometers installed.
Right.
And the boiler had some things done to it. So this was just done before.
Okay.
Let's clarify, the boiler didn't have anything done to it. The boiler is fine. It's the valves that are in the line that were failing on us. We replaced them. A check valve come apart, and there was a gate valve that was bad and causing pressure problems. But the boiler is fine.
Okay, I was just saying,
yeah.
This was put in on the 5th.
Okay.
Everything has been resolved since then. I just haven't received a work order clearing it yet.
Okay.
That's all I'm trying
All
to
right.
say.
I just wanted to be sure we were not assuming anything. Okay.
No, I'm not assuming anything. I'm
Yeah.
just waiting for a work order to come in and clear it.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Anything else on this item?
No, sir.
Thanks a lot. Okay, item number 3 is discuss, consider, take action to file Jeffrey S. Ward and Associates Incorporated invoice number 1 dated April 17th, 2017, the amount of $7,760 with the county auditor for payment processing for buyout services of 3 homes in Wichita County affected by the 2015 floods in accordance with Court Order 17.03.190 to be paid from general fund contingencies to lines determined by the county auditor. This is a follow-up from the flood 2 years ago. We had this all done and the property cleared within 6 months of the 2007 flood. And this is what we did. This is the portion the county covers. Now, when we actually get to the buyout, the individual will have to pay the 25%, and they've all been informed of that. 2 of the properties, this won't be a problem. They're going to get pre-flood value, but one of the properties was foreclosed upon, and the financial institution, despite being told to try to work with them, went ahead and did what they wanted to do, and now they get post-flood value, which is considerably lower. And they are, understand from Mr. Ward, they're balking a little bit at what is happening to them, but they had an opportunity to do it different, and they didn't take advantage of what was being said. So I'm not sure what they're going to do, but the county policy, the only thing that helps them out on the 2 individual homeowners, there is some other money they can apply for that they can use. But anything they've received will be deducted, but that's part of what Mr. Ward works out, and he has another email to us that talked about that. But this is similar to how we did those others, and the county covers this portion of administrative costs, but we will not cover closing costs and those kind of things, or at least we haven't.
Judge, what are we paying this appraisal fee for?
Because part of the process is they have to be. Now, we could take that out if you all didn't want to pay that.
But I mean, what are we appraising the value for?
That's part of the FEMA process, is there has to be a value given to the home, a separate appraisal of it.
Where were those values? I didn't see them in here. I see him charging us for them, but I didn't
That was
look
in
at
there's another email that I thought you and that everybody got a copy on that I forwarded to you.
where he valued them, or where Henderson valued them?
Where Henderson valued them, yes, sir.
And then the property ACQ fee, what is that? On his invoice?
is that fee, Jeff? Is it on this list?
83.
Acquisition fee.
Acquisition fee.
Well, I mean, what is that? I mean, is he going to do the closing for that amount of money? Or?
That's what, no, not the closing. That's what he does, all of the paperwork review and getting everything ready and presented to us for finalization. That's his fee per property.
I guess my question is that property on Huntington will forever be disallowed to be built upon.
That's correct. All three of these properties.
No, I'm talking about as it stands
As it stands
today.
now, right.
So why would we want to assume that, well, you're saying that we're not paying the 25%.
Right.
That would be theirs to pay.
Yes.
And FEMA reimburses the other.
Yes.
Then the county would acquire that floodway there.
Yes. We would have to maintain it. What we did on those down in Wrangler's Retreat, we accepted proposals from people for leasing that property, nominal amount, but then it meant they maintained them and we didn't.
Right.
Well, do we go in and take the slab out and all? Jeff?
That'll be done. We don't, but that'll be done as part of the remediation.
It'll be clean.
Yeah.
But, so you're saying this $7,700 fee is the max we'll pay?
Yes. Unless you all decide to do something different, that should be us there. That's the way we did it before.
Well, I assume that was the bid we received in March.
Yes.
That we approved. There was a bidding process for this service.
Well, and I guess it's neither here nor there, whatever the bank decides to do. They could participate or not participate. They're never selling the property. I mean, they could sell the property as long as a person knows they're buying floodway and could never build in it.
Never built. But they will need to do, that'll be up to FEMA whether they have to do the remediation or not if they leave it just sit there. But
Is there a kind of disclosure process on property on floodway stuff, Judge?
Yes.
Is there?
Yes. If the bank is doing their job, they should never have loan documents on a home. They don't understand what the flood, the elevation certificate states about the house and what flood plain it's deemed to be within.
But I mean, I'm mainly just talking about open land. You buy a piece of property. I mean, is there any disclosure?
It's buyer beware.
Buyer beware. Okay, I always wondered that.
But
now
most
if you go to
banks are,
finance
if
a home,
you finance
yeah,
or
you're gonna
even
have to check.
financing that property, they
Yeah.
want to understand what they're buying a
Yeah.
part of because it's certainly going to affect your value across time.
So it's more up to the lender than it is to. Okay.
well, it is, and they're not aware that Texas has a special provision on the 25% when they used to pay it. Their special provision is now they don't pay anything. But they did have a thing, if you bought a home in the floodplain after 1996, they wouldn't pay the 25%, but there was no disclosure of that because the financial institutions in requiring flood insurance and that kind of thing, that was still a gap in it.
Billy, what's y'all's procedure at the bank for that?
Well, it depends on how the title work comes back. I mean, that's where it's going to start and the previous recordings and how it was recorded that way. But it's all different. Each situation is different how it's recorded.
See, I've always been bothered, Judge, that we've got a situation where there's not good information being shared on this problem. I think there's people buying property all the time that it's in the floodway and they don't know it. And I don't know what that system might be, but it seems to me like there's a breakdown somewhere on, and I guess, I mean, you can go look at the maps and you can determine whether that's it, but that's not something somebody would normally go do.
But it should.
They'll come up in the title work, and then you can also buy flood insurance during that time.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the survey work on it ought to show that too. So, I mean, it's whether the buyer's.
But it would on just open property, if you went and bought it, it'd show up in the title work?
With the survey and everything that you do on the title.
Yeah. Okay, well, maybe we're in better shape than I thought. I just thought we had a real lapse there of people knowing what, that they're, because we've run into this several times, I guess is my point, and they had no idea that they were in the floodway or the floodplain. And so that's something we probably need to let people know to really check on whenever they're looking at property.
That's changed too. So it's a 100-year floodplain, so that can change as new construction goes and it diverts the water.
Yeah. Well, our latest maps came after, what, the flood of '07? I assume?
Yeah.
Which makes them more current than what the older ones were. And it does change. You're right. It's a moving target.
But there shouldn't be. You know, you're supposed to have 0 impact on drainage. Now, that's governed within cities. When we get to the rural areas,
that's where the problem
it's
comes in.
A whole lot more general, and because there's not a rural permitting process for land, then sometimes things are built where they shouldn't be, or they built without allowing for that.
Well, and I think we're relying on somebody seeing the activity and reporting it, and that's not a real good system when you
No,
get, I mean, but that's the system we're using right now, and it's not a good one.
Well, that's why we encourage law enforcement. Anytime somebody sees a power meter on a pole put out, something's getting ready to happen. And what we would like to do is, at that point, is get a hold of that property owner, have Lee Burgoyne's office get them and say, hang on, what are y'all doing here? We're not seeing you've got a floodplain permit or any of this thing. So, and trying to help them, not trying to hinder them, but, you know.
I think that depends on who's shooting.
Well, that's,
but the bank is going to say, you know, just like you need home insurance on the house you're building, if you rank in the correct floodplain, then they're going to require you to have flood insurance as well, and some of which can be very expensive depending on where you fall within the plain. In the floodway, you're not getting nothing done. The bank's not going to finance it, and nobody's going to insure it.
Well, it comes back to that property that we've been dealing with in Iowa Park. See, we were that field work was going on out there for months.
Sure.
And nobody discovered that was going to be a problem. That's my point, is that we don't have a good system in place to prevent that, because what should have been done is that should have been prevented from happening.
Yeah.
Because now you're looking at a tremendous expense to go in and remediate that,
Well,
and the time to.
We caught slabs that were below the BFE +1, and there's one that was built in Wrangler's Retreat, and that flood, they had it 1 inch above just the BFE, not 1 foot.
Right.
And that was about all that kept the water out of their house. And it had that other flood come, they wouldn't have been that lucky. But no one else would have been either. So.
And I'm not offering a remedy, Judge. I'm just saying that what we're doing is really not a great system. I wished I could come up with a magic bullet that would solve that. But
back to what Commissioner Watts said, buyer beware.
You're exactly
often
right.
they don't look as close as they should at that. And that's where you hope the financial institutions will at least help them out by saying, wait a minute, you need to look at this again. All right. Okay.
I make a motion that this was a bill that was bid. We accepted it back in March. I'd make a motion that we take action to file the invoice number 1 dated April 17.
Okay.
Second.
Thank you. Motion by Commissioner Mahler, and a second by Commissioner Watts. Kind of got that together. Okay.
Waller.
Yeah, hey. No,
close it up.
Yeah. Boy, what would y'all come out?
Barvey.
Yeah.
Moving right along.
Okay. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries 5-0. Item number 4 is discuss, consider, take action to approve the quote from Omega Industries for precast concrete railroad crossing panels for Precinct 2 at a cost of $6,700 to be paid from Precinct 2 supplies and operations. Budget lines to appropriate line is determined by the county auditor. Commissioner Harvey.
This is on Holman Road, as we are getting ready to destroy Holman Road and rebuild it. We got with the railroad, and this is a requirement from the railroad. We bought these precast panels by their spec, and just part of getting that road redone.
They're making us buy them to,
You know what they're
they'll
going
put
to
them
do?
in.
They're going to replace the track and the ties there, but we have to pay for the things that go between the tracks and on both sides.
Crossing panels.
Huh?
They're crossing pads.
I think that is what they call them, crossing pads. But anyway, that's what it is. I'll make a motion, we accept it.
I'll second.
Okay. We have a motion and a second. Any comments or questions?
Is that Burlington Northern?
WTJ.
Yeah.
Wichita, Tillman, and Jackson.
Jackson or Jefferson?
Jackson.
Jackson.
Yes. Okay, all in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries 5-0. Item number 5 is discuss and consider action to amend the travel policy section 4.08.04 lodging and 4.0805 coordination of travel. There was an item submitted for suggested change in that by Ms. Stevens, and we did make extra copies for anyone out in the audience that was to look at that. Deb, do you want to give any background or that, or on?
Well, we ran into we're trying to do a more, look at the travel policy and exactly what it says and apply those policies according to what it exactly says. And so we ran into 2 issues so far that we became aware of, and one was that overnight travel, according to the policy, has to be before 9 a.m. The meeting has to start before 9 a.m. and be more than 100 miles away. So a lot of the long distance traveling is more than 100 miles away, so that's okay, but they start after 9. And we have historically always paid those bills. The backstory being that part was never addressed in the policy, and so we always have historically paid those bills because it makes common sense that you would do. If you have to go to Galveston or Corpus Christi, you're not going to go the day before it starts at 11, and you're going to go the day before it starts at 11. So
Yeah.
anyway, but that's not what the policy says, and the policy was changed to put that verbiage in years ago because there was some people taking advantage of the policy. The Commissioner's Court chose to then tighten it up a little bit so that you basically couldn't go to a very close meeting and go spend the night before. But now that's trying to it does not, the policy does not allow someone to go the night before unless the meeting starts before 9 a.m. So that needs to be changed. So that, in my opinion, it needs to be changed so that everybody that travels out of town doesn't have to come into the court and request an agenda item to make an allowance for them to travel. So that's a motion.
I think what we were focused on when we were talking about that was, say you had a meeting that started at 9 a.m., 8, 9, whatever, in the Metroplex. And knowing what I-35 and the traffic, and I mean, you'd have to leave 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning to try to get through all that mess to get there on time. So I think what our intent was is that the department head could decide previous to travel on the location of the, if it's in Saginaw, well, it's not that big a deal. Just get up and go on down there. But depending on the location of the meeting and time of day, the traffic, I mean, I've been down there and I didn't move for an hour and a half, just trying to inch. And so I think that's what the intent was let the department head decide what the location of the meeting was at and take all the information provided that goes with that and decide whether to go the night before or we'll be fine. We can leave here at 6 and be there, So I think that was what our intent was. Is that being abused? Is that what you're telling us?
No, not at all. I'm just saying that the current policy says, if the current policy as it's written precludes someone from going out of town the night before if their meeting starts later than 9 a.m. And we need to change it. In my opinion, that needs to be changed because it's now very cumbersome. And people would have to come to the Commissioner's Court every time they had a meeting that started after 9 a.m.
So you're saying exactly what I just said.
But it would match up what you're saying and what's in the policy aren't the same thing, right?
But she's suggesting.
Yes.
So I thought we changed that. Maybe we did discuss that and intended to change it, and we just maybe fell through the cracks or something. Because that was a discussion that we did have. Okay.
And Deb, what would this do to the day before? Let's say that there's a Corpus Christi meeting at 1 o'clock tomorrow. Would
would we then take into consideration today's time, departure time, or on the clock time, or is that what if I left 10 o'clock versus 2 o'clock?
We don't have anything, we don't have any rules about any of that stuff. So if you wanted, so I gave two kind of opposite ends of the spectrum, one really tight, one really loose. Suggestions, it doesn't matter to me, what the Commissioner's Court policy is. It's just, we just need some clarification, A, so we can enforce it on your behalf, and B, so that it doesn't clutter up the agenda anytime somebody travels. But there's the only rule we have right now is that it has to start before 9 a.m. and be more than 100 miles.
I see. And this would change, this particular change would be that it could start at a later time as long as it's more than, how many miles?
It's currently
100.
If you think about it, what major metropolis do we have that is within 100 miles? None.
Well, you might have, the sheriff just had some training and his people commuted back and forth to go to Decatur, oddly enough. And the reason I think we threw the 100-mile in back when that was done was so that we were looking at people going to the Metroplex, and then that would allow them to do that. And if, the fallacy may have been in that a training time at 9, but the traffic situation from possibly when you consider that to what it is now is not even close to the same. In trying to get there, I absolutely try to avoid 287 to 35 because you don't know how long you're going to sit there to get past DFW with that construction there. When that gets done, it shouldn't be bad, except they'll have the bottleneck at the rest of it where they're still working.
But from Wichita to Decatur, that's really not an issue.
No, it's not. And that's rare that's the only one I've heard of in years like that. So at any rate, the thing to do that might be the best thing is to open it, let department heads control it. But then the other thing is draw the line. If you're not paying attention to your travel budget and what you requested, then if you're going to go over that budget prior to that, people going on that conference or something, then you've got to come into court and ask for a budget amendment. And that's what ought to be given some more thought. I think often we go, okay, we spent so much last year, we'll do that again this year. Well, what we look at was what was in the budget, not what was transferred in and was really spent, because it's not unusual to get several departmental requests. And this would only be for conferences and things like that. This limitation does not apply to training, conferences, those things. Where we get into a problem, you can't predict how many prisoners you're going to have to go pick up or transport. So that, I want to be sure that's understood. That's outside of this. Or the DA's office going to bring out of town to bring a witness back. Some of those kind of things, they don't. That's part of why people don't understand why we can't plan our budget better than we do, is because 70% of our budget is so flexible that none of us has a crystal ball that will make that work.
We'll change the venue on a trial too, Judge.
Yeah.
Be a tough deal.
Same kind of thing. Sheriff, Chief, anything?
I certainly agree with Ms. Stevens that having a policy that is clear and everybody understands is beneficial because it makes misunderstandings. Judge, I'll speak more as a taxpayer that worked in government a lot than representing the chair's views on this next statement. I'm always of the belief that, and no offense to any elected official in here, that if you give them their budgeted funds and say this is what your budgeted funds are, the taxpayers will hold them accountable if they continually show that they can't manage the monies that they're assigned. That's my belief, that if anybody in here continually runs out of money, somebody in the community is going to go, you know what, I can do a better job than that person. That's me speaking as a maybe an informed voter, not as the chief deputy, and it just makes things work a lot better. That's my opinion.
Not one of us up here is going to stand up and say, that sheriff blew his budget on bullets this year. No, the general public is not going to know if any of us went over on our travel budget or if we bought more copy paper than we should have. That type of stuff doesn't make it to the public, you know. So,
yeah.
Well,
that's what I'm saying. If it was a habit, it would. If it was a habit, somebody in this county, in this courthouse, and in this county family is going to be talking about it publicly, and it'll get somebody's attention if it continually occurs.
Yeah. Well.
So always keep in mind, budgets, that's the reason they refer to it as a swag. You know, that's all it is.
But I think often, Bob, we don't look at, and then things come up that are good schools, but, you know, that needs to be planned and not take the trip and then come ask for the money. If you see you got something going to exceed what you budgeted, then you ought to be looking at that, come in ahead of time, and not put your personnel through the grief of waiting to get their money as to whether the court's going to approve that or not. I don't think that's asking too much for people to look at their budget before they pack everybody up and send them and do that.
So, Ms. Stevens, do you have suggested verbiage? Okay.
Well, and then there's a second one as well, I guess.
Yes.
I had some thoughts on that, Lee, what you just said.
Coordination of travel, second thing you're talking about?
Yes, but Lee had said, and I wanted, when we finished talking about the coordination of travel, just on the preparation, because I'd like to see the corrections come back through once they're done, but typically that's Ted's to bring us, is it not?
It depends on the area. And I would say for this travel policy, we'd probably put it together. I can work with Deb and do it, bring it back to you all to vote, but we wanted to find out the concept before we started working on it to go ahead with. Today in the bills, we approved some that met the criteria she's suggesting. Now, one of them in there.
No, they don't. They're according to the culture that we had before, but only because no one was aware of this kind of seismic change because we've been doing research into the policy. So we passed those through based on what we've historically done. Now that we know what the policy says, then we can't approve those anymore. So I said I would approve them based on y'all reviewing them and saying, okay, we agree, we're going to pass these through this one time, and then we'll set the new policy today.
Okay, but I think in those two areas, in one of them, if we change the policy, then those people who traveled the day before, that wouldn't have been any question in your office.
But,
and then the second is the coordinating of people going to the same conference.
Yeah, and all of that I have no qualms or issues with. It's I don't want us to get back off in Never Never Land where Nancy's doing some changes, you're doing some changes, Deb's doing some changes, and we're holding Ted accountable for these changes. I expect to have finished the year and start a year with a clean personnel policy that his job depends on. And I just don't, I didn't get him the paperwork, he didn't have an opportunity to, all that, I'm saying Ted's accountable for. And that he should make the modifications, work with you, work with Deb, whatever the case be, but that finished product at the end of the day is his to monitor. And I think that he's responsible for that. And if I have to modify it, then I want some of Ted's pay. But if that's just part of the duties of his office. And I think that we should make sure that we keep, now that we have adopted a personnel policy, we should adhere to who's going to keep it clean going forward. And that's just my issue with these. I don't have issue with these changes. I just have issue of who's cleaning up the policy, submitting it back to be clean for the book.
And I think whoever's the subject matter expert on what's being changed, it gets that to Ted, and he makes sure the policy gets into the document. I'm not seeing him as the author of all these fragmented areas, That's all I'm.
Well, I agree. I agree with what you're saying. But if you organize it like Jeff's saying, if Nancy does some verbiage and she doesn't just put it in the policy, she gives it to Ted, and then Ted is the official ruler of the policy, and he makes that current all the time. I don't think what Jeff's saying is it's his fault that it's not done. It's just that we haven't organized our methodology on how we're going to get it done, and I think that's a very good idea.
Yeah, and I think once there's a court order attached to it, then it goes to Ted. Now, there may be some areas he comes in, let's say it's going to be federal labor standards. That's more his bailiwick and working with civil counsel. But I think on this, it's probably more a financial matter, and we put it together, and then it gets approved in a court order, and then it goes to Ted, and Ted's responsible for getting it in a document. So I think we need to discuss the other item, but the idea would be to take today's direction from the court, write that, bring it back, and go. But we've already approved those payments today that the auditor needed our assistance on. So will that work? And let's talk about coordination of travel.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yes.
Coordination of travel currently says must and is required, and there's no exception for by department. We've always assumed by department. That is not what the policy says. So it will require disparate departments to somehow know that someone else was traveling and do a coordination of travel to travel together. So again, I've made a couple of suggestions here and there, but just to do whatever y'all feel is best. But that is an issue right now, and it's an issue coming up for the Tyler conference that'll happen in May, where lots of different people are going, not all from the same departments.
See, I see what you're saying. We have two departments that really don't work with each other on a daily basis going to the same conference. One guy from this department, one guy from this department. They could have ridden together, but we didn't coordinate that. No.
Well, yeah, and we recently had a conference where there were others. They all drove independent vehicles down there. There was no coordination of effort between those, and this would clean that up, or at least have them discussing what would be the...
Well, it's very clear in the policy right now. It just wasn't clearly adhered to because, you don't think about those things, you're getting everybody there. Now, and we've had this before where two people didn't want to ride together, one smoked and one didn't, and so they split the mileage allowance. And that was their agreement to take two separate vehicles so they could do that. But
I think the problem here is how you're going to coordinate that. I mean, how
well,
are you going to know?
If it's a road and bridge, the one where we often send our foreman, that's up to you all to talk and get them together. If it's a JP and Constables conference, they ought to be going together. You all ride together, and
that's because we got to have a designated driver.
Well, okay, but I'm just saying that if
we tend to doze off.
Yeah.
Okay. The only time multiple different elected offices are going to probably go to the same place is the tax pre-legislative, tax post-legislative conference. They ought to be looking at, can we ride together and do that? Otherwise, there's only a few departments that have overlapping. JPs and constables, you got multiple offices go to the same conferences. The conference, road and bridge thing with that organization, it's obvious. Just say who else is going. Same thing as when we have the county judges, commissioners conferences, riding together and doing that. So that's, there's not too many things that the tax office and the district clerk are going to go to the same conference, I wouldn't think, other than the general TAC conferences that bring all elected officials together. But the idea is to look at that and have some economy of travel. And we've said not more than 3 to a vehicle. Time you put luggage and things in there and all, that's pretty good. If you want to take a larger vehicle and take more, they have that latitude to do that. But how tight do you want to keep that on saying that, you know, Precinct 2 foreman and is totally separate from the Precinct 4, they can do that, or you want to keep it where it requires coordination of travel?
Well, I think it's smart to coordinate the travel on, and we'll probably have more and more instances of this Tyler program and other programs like that where it crosses up.
Well, what we have going for us on that is it's being facilitated by a group, and so they're booking. I mean,
yeah, they're real good.
I'm just sitting here trying to think about how the process works, and help me, Nancy, when we decide to go to a conference, which we usually go same ones every year, but you go through the auditor's office with rooms and booking stuff, right? Right. So really, everybody does the same thing. Everybody goes to the auditor's office, gets their rooms booked, and pays their invoice.
No, not everybody does that. No. You got some head shaking out here. No.
Okay, how do you pay for your conference?
I send it over once I get the confirmation, I send the information to the auditor's office.
Okay, my point is, there's one focal point in the county that all that information goes to. And if, I don't know how she could track it, if she wanted to track it, but she could say, hey, notice that you signed up for this conference and you signed up for this conference. Would you guys, consider riding together? Well, I'm leaving Monday. Well, I'm not leaving till Wednesday. So, I mean, you have to have some kind of fluctuation like that, but that might be the only place that all that stuff comes together, that somebody could flag that, hey, these two departments are going to the same place at the same time.
And Deb and them hadn't got anything else to do.
Exactly. That's what I'm getting at. It's like, how much can you keep doing? I mean, but where else does all that information come together? That was my point.
And it doesn't actually come to us many times till after the fact.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay. Then how would you decide who gets the money? The first one that, I mean, it's just an untenable situation right now.
Yeah.
Because there is no central clearinghouse for information.
Yeah.
And yet the policy says must. So like the ones that we got for the travel to the last conference, we got all those kind of at the same time, after the conference was over. So I don't know if we made any of those hotel reservations, but there's not a requirement, which we're happy about, to make the hotel reservations through the auditor's
Which we're happy about.
We're happy to do it, but we don't have any software that tracks that. The people that pay the bill constantly make the reservation. It could be done, but so often we get the information after the fact. So, and then in that situation, they would have already gone, and then would they forfeit payment? And then we would need some way to, resolve that issue.
So, without creating more government, and we just need to leave it up to the department heads to decide to coordinate with another department or not. Because it would cost us a lot more money to track it than it would be to just pay it.
What a unique concept to have faith in your department heads and your elected officials that are going to do the right thing anyway.
I have confidence that they would.
Unique concept.
Well, I think the question is, what do you do when that doesn't happen?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So if everybody, let's say the constables all go into the same meeting in Lubbock, Texas, and they decide they're all driving their own vehicles, nobody's riding together. Is that okay, or should?
I'm not going to say it's okay, Jeff, but the thing is, the masses end up getting punished for the sins of the few. It's almost micromanagement. I mean, it's top-heavy. This travel policy looks like a defense contract on a fleet of F-16s. I've been in county city government for 27, going on 28 years. I've never seen anything so muddied up. We can't get clarification. What you said a while ago, I mean, I think there's too many hands on it. I'll tell you where the train comes off the track. Interpretation. Most of the time, when something comes here before Commissioner's Court involving travel, and it gets to be pretty ugly, it's because of somebody's interpretation. That's where the train comes off the track. If I'm sending somebody to school and they don't go, and I send them 2 days early, they go to a baseball game and use county funds, and y'all find out about it, I agree totally with Chief Metter. Pull me in here, or get me out on the steps of Wichita County Courthouse and jail me. That's where I'm at. That's where I'm at with elected officials and department heads having some discretion to do the right thing. And when they're doing the wrong thing, hold them accountable. But you take this policy of trying to make one size fits all. We all know one size fits most. That's the problem with our travel policy right now. And I tell you, we chewed on it, tugged on it, pulled on it, and here we are again today. I don't think we're going to come out here today with a clear-cut answer on it. And we still haven't got to it as far as our personnel policy manual meetings, as far as discussing it in those meetings. We've got to find some way to clean it up, Jeff, where I don't have a problem with a central clearinghouse, but it's gotten to where there's too many hands on it. That's where I'm at. I think it's over. Allow your department heads, your elected officials some discretion. You find out that me and Clay sent somebody at the same conference, they took 27 cars. Get us over on Monday morning. We got this thing on the video and television camera rolling. I got dirty britches on the deal. I'll stand up and tell you I got dirty britches. But that's where the deal is on this travel deal. And I think that's where department heads and elected officials are just about had. I can't speak for everybody here, but I can tell you I had some conversations.
Well, what I hear our auditor saying is she wants some directions how she's supposed to handle it. Isn't that really what we're talking about? I mean, they have to process this stuff, and they need guidelines to where they can say this is how we're going to do it.
Because the who's showing up is the 6 different people that all went to the conference, and we paid 2 mileages, and they want to know who's getting those 2 mileages because they all 6 drove their cars. And that's the problem when they could have easily took 3 to the car and made the trip, and the county becomes a bad guy because why would we try to cheat them out of their money? Well, why would they try to cheat us out of the money? Well, and I think that's where the process come, and that just happened. So there was no, even though the policy deemed it or mandated it to happen, they just totally ignored that fact, and everybody drove their own vehicle. And then expect to be paid. Well, why would you expect us to do anything different? Why would you not expect to pay us? Well, because the rule said not to, and you blatantly went around it or didn't respect it. And so that's the dilemma. I mean, what do you do in those instances?
I think you hold the department head and elected official responsible for that.
Are you talking, how do you want us to hold you responsible? Via payroll deduct? Are you willing to pay for it? Or, what do you do to an elected official that doesn't make a good judgment call? What's his punishment?
Well,
he's an elected official. I mean, come on.
Not necessarily a punishment, Commissioner, but we go through a budget process every year.
Yep.
You've got our historicals as we sit there in the hot seat. I mean, the department head is responsible for their department. And Commissioner Watts, just like you said, we understand your position, and certainly we are, as department heads, responsible for the taxpayer of this county. And so that's our responsibility. So the department head should be the one.
Well, okay, what's that responsibility? Do they pay for the mistake?
Well,
when they didn't read the policy?
X number of dollars in the pot for travel, Judge. I mean, I'm not telling you how to do your job.
No,
so
and that's
like you tell me how to do mine. But you got X number of dollars in the pot. If somebody said they went 6 different cars, I mean, good gosh, I believe that's pretty clear cut.
Commissioner Watts?
10 divided by 6.
If you're in a situation where I assume that would have, I don't know if that was real or hypothetical, but if it's from one office, would you not just tell the elected official or the department head, you tell me the 2 that get it and pay them and make that person deal with the fallout from the other 4 and just kind of like when we.
I kind of like that.
Kind of like when we do jailers and they come and they go, how come I didn't get a raise? You got to have people that accountability and the ability to act have to go together. And let them do it, and then let them deal with those 4 employees. They're like, hey, why didn't I didn't have the guts to tell you y'all had to ride together. Sorry. You know, and let them deal with that. That's
Only paying mileage for every 3 people.
Yeah.
How they decide to
I'm good with that.
divvy that out is up to you.
It doesn't address the issue of multiple departments answering to different elected officials or department heads, not coordinating travel as stated in the policy. That's the problem we need to fix.
We need to take that out of there because it's too hard to police.
Well, no, it doesn't need to come out of there. It needs clarification as to,
It just
you know,
belongs
for
inside the
example,
department?
well, like Derek's very integral part of the technology committee, and if they all decided they're driving different cars to Tyler, I mean, we expect them to be coordinated, and the rule kind of
opens the door.
indicates they should be coordinated. But if we didn't have the rule, they
could drive that many different people. It's just a matter of paying attention and having, and it, quite honestly, it helps that elected official to say, no, y'all are going to have to ride together or you're going to split the mileage. If you want to ride separately, then you realize you're getting half of what you would have normally gotten. And, you know, that's fine. But there has to be some standard, and you have to have something to rely on. And that one, to me, is pretty straightforward. Of all of our confusing policies, that one, you know, says you to coordinate and do it. And in the particular case of JP's on this last deal, they all knew they were going. They just didn't read the rule book. That's what it looks like to me. That one. Same thing, often I know Patty and Lori travel together because their conferences come together.
We coordinate ours very, we watch it because if you got 3 guys going to school, they're all going to ride together. The only ones that do not ride together are the 3 canines. You can't put the 3 canines together, it will not be pretty silent.
No.
Have puppies.
One of them would have to ride back there with them.
Sometimes it's just the canine handlers together. They're not all out the dog, but you can't. That's the only time they do individually.
Yeah. No, that makes a lot of sense to me. I mean, I didn't have any doubt
But
about
the
it.
county head, so not just use this Tyler road trip we've got to do. Why don't the county just lease a van, get everybody ride together and have the best driving record ride it, you know, and that way you won't lose anybody. Everybody gets there either together or not together.
Well, it takes a special driver's license, and there's more people going than what a 15-passenger van will hold, plus their luggage. So, I mean, you could do Agape Tours or something like that, get a tour bus to ride down there, but it's probably not cost-effective.
No.
But I don't know on this trip, Derek, there's not necessarily that many on this Tyler trip, is there?
No, and I'm not sure, you know, this particular situation may not necessarily be the best one for that because it's all going through IT. All the travel arrangements have been handled by Ashley.
But they usually give us a seating arrangement, who all we're riding with on anything we've ever toured. They've maxed you out. Yeah.
It's been very well.
Well, and she talked about that, and that's what they were doing to figure out how many would ride and what size vehicle they were going to get. So,
but nothing like if the sheriff, and not so much a sheriff, but Patty and Lori is more example. If they had coordinated conferences, and more than likely they do a lot of times where they're going on, and they're always aware of it, but other instances similar to that are not necessarily always aware of, hey, there's another something going on here and other people are making plans to attend. It really doesn't happen on our things that often where other departments would actually come, and I guess it could come up from time to time, but typically there's no other county people go with us unless someone like the sheriff or the district clerk's asked to speak at those things.
In Patty's case, our association does our mileage. So if we drive separate, we're not taking that.
Okay. Yep.
If we do that, we do drive separate. It's the last conference, we drove separate, and it's a good thing because she had a family emergency and had to come back. She came back and I drove with her. I'd be stuck in college, San Marcos. wherever we were. So, that's the bad part of driving together is you.
Don would have come got you.
Well,
Don would have.
There's often other people from our area you could actually, and I've done that from Lubbock. I brought one of the judges home. But at any rate, the other thing that isn't in this, I think we need to consider, you've got certain people that are in positions that are subject to emergency call 24/7. And I'm just thinking like the technology trip, if you had both the sheriff and the chief going on that trip, you'd probably want some way they could get out of there without leaving everybody else stranded there. So it might be that in those cases, they take, a separate vehicle just for that reason.
We go to conference meetings, separate vehicles.
Yeah, because.
What if this is going to solve the entire thing? What if the county had two county travel vehicles where I'll just use a Tahoe if it's roomy. Then you get multiple people from different offices within the courthouse have to go somewhere. And put the county seal on it, because that way it's driven right and parked in the right places and not places you want to get both of them. So the county will still maintain a gas card just like we do our fleet. It's easy to track everything. You want to pay everybody, break out the per diem or the money for mileage. The county takes care of it.
We don't lease those to you, Judge.
Thanks.
Well, let's put a pencil to that.
And we only pay you the days we use them, Billy. Okay.
If you put a pencil to that, Sheriff, it might be more cost effective to pay $20,000 in mileage than it would to be $50,000 for a Tahoe. So just have to.
Well,
the Tahoe will last 10 years just for a straight ride truck.
Remember that Tahoe will last 10 years.
Or
Mark that down.
Or
Mark that down.
150,000 miles.
Write that down, baby.
This is driven by our.
Okay. All right. I just say I'm not a fan of those kind of vehicles because the vehicle belongs to everybody. It doesn't belong to anybody. And the maintenance on those, who didn't fill it up, who didn't change the oil, who didn't. I guess the auditor's office could watch after that, yeah. But no, that would be a concern to me. All right. Is there anything on the coordination of travel? Does that need to stay the same, but maybe have a deal in there about elected officials have the right to determine key individuals, including themselves, can take something separate?
Judge, do you suspect that there's an organization out there somewhere that's got this right that we can copy? I mean, I'm serious.
I know. I don't.
Could there be that? Could somebody already have that sorted out, and all we'd have to do is
plagiarize it?
Yeah, copy it into our. I don't know, but I bet we're not the only ones that ever had this discussion.
No, you're not. You're certainly welcome to look. I just gave you trepidation, ma'am.
Policy needs to be clear cut and clean so that when we get the bills to pay, we have a clear cut and clean thing to use to gauge whether or not to approve the travel or not. So if we say you must, and then you give an exception, why do you need must if you're going to have an exception? If you have an exception, is it an across the board exception? If you start muddying it up with words like key employees and that kind of thing, what's a key employee? I mean,
Well, what if we did? I can't believe I'm going to say this. The policy simply read this: all travel signed off by the department head within budget is approved.
Open your checkbook.
To try to write specific rules with so many varied situations that this county faces is going to be nearly impossible. It'll be 10 pages long to cover all the different. Yeah, still leave areas. I don't see any way to, and I understand what you're saying, Deb, and I understand why we need to do it, but it's going to be extremely difficult to do. Look at all the different factions and different functions of county government and different departments and different requirements. And in fact, we're really not supposed to have 3 commissioners riding together anyway.
Well, that's why you put one in the back seat.
Post a meeting. I mean, if somebody wanted to hold your feet to the fire, you really can't do that.
Well,
We have done it, and we've not broken the law. We've not had a problem, but if you want to get right down to the specifics of it.
We have not broken some laws.
Well, that particular law.
Yeah.
Yeah. But you see what I'm saying? I mean, there's an exception right there. I mean, you wouldn't want to write something in you don't want to write something in your policy book that's going to force you
to break the law.
To break the law, and that's what you're doing when you do that.
Well, that statement I just made.
Yeah.
We covered it.
We'll cover all of that and get us out of this, and then we can see if this becomes a problem. But I'm thinking, it might be an interesting thing at budget time.
Address it.
Everybody brings their travel claims for the year, and we kind of look at them and say, okay, how is this going? Yeah. And maybe it's not the problem that it could be. But we put the auditor's office in a horrible position when it's not clear. And we've evidently proved pretty well it's hard to make a clear enough policy to cover everything.
I think I'd second that motion.
And in the meantime, just be on the lookout for somebody that's got one that better addresses it, and maybe it's out there somewhere.
What does Taylor County do in Lubbock County?
That's what I'm asking. Maybe there's something out there that really covers this.
I'd be glad to contact my counterparts if you'd like.
Okay.
There you go, Judge.
But, that'd be appreciated. Do that. But I'm going to tell you what I just said, whether I like it or not, is probably the best answer.
For now, at least.
Yeah.
Yeah, for now. Until we find something better.
Yeah.
Okay. All travel claims signed off on by the department head will be submitted for payment to the auditor's office. And then what I would want to do this year, we look at that and see what that's doing. Are people using good sense? Or do we need to say to a department head, why did you send people 2 days ahead of time?
Yeah.
Now, that's some micromanagement.
No, it's holding somebody accountable.
Okay, I want to hear that out of you. Thank you. And
I don't have any problem with that
okay,
concept. I think there's other elected officials in here who don't have a problem with accountability, Judge.
Yeah.
okay. But the other thing is, the auditor's office may, and I often get these calls, say, what do you think about this? And it may be then, wait a minute, we're going to pay it, but I'm going to probably not wait 3 months to call you and say, tell me what the background. There's a thing the sheriff and we're all working on right now, and he gave me some information I didn't have that helped me understand what was occurring in a different area. And sometimes you might have a thing that said that, and that made it justifiable, but you don't see that on the straight-out travel claim. You see somebody went an unusual period of time ahead to do that.
Judge, I think during budget considerations, we could ask the department head, what do you foresee for travel this next year? How are you handling it? Is there any challenges, anything, I think maybe we could open that discussion up a little at budget time and cover a bunch of this stuff.
And a backup to that might be, okay, we have these 3 conferences. I'm sending 2 people to each of them, estimated cost, and give some reason behind that travel budget.
Instead of just transferring the number from last year.
Yeah, I agree. Okay, let's do this. I will write that up. If that's agreeable, we'll vote on it at either the next Commissioner's Court or the one after that. But I'll get that done, and then we'll...
Well, Judge, it's just one sentence. We can do like you always do, write it down there, and we'll vote on it now.
Well, no, you got to fix the other part, too.
Oh, the other part. Okay, right. I was just talking about that one instance right there.
Well, I would think that would take care of the whole travel policy. Maybe I'm being naive.
Maybe you're right.
How about you might travel and we might pay you? Do we have a second to that?
Yeah. Okay. We've taken care of the immediate claims problem that we had that precipitated this discussion. I'd rather you think that over and do it instead of just go from, here to there, one launch, unless you're over in North Korea. But, okay. All right,
try
everybody.
this.
And we'll circulate that around. Everybody will see it early, all right, but I want to double check my thinking on that. But that may be the easiest way to do the whole thing and see what happens. And I'm going to hope we have the kind of reaction that a good conservative department heads taking care of business.
If Kim Jong, what's his name, was in Texas, the comment would be, hold my beer, I'm going to try something.
Okay. I'm writing this down so I won't.
You better make a note.
Okay, just so all travel claims signed and submitted by the department head within the budget amount will be paid. And we'll come back to that. All right. Item 6, discuss or take action to select a contractor for gunite work on the sheriff's gun range. Let's skip that one and go down because we're holding some people here that may have some other things to do. Let's go ahead and do number 7 and get it and get that. Okay. It's to receive an update on the status of the inmate telephone system, RFP. Chief Metter.
Yes, sir. Given some issues that came up with in the jail, and we have not evaluated all of those completely. We're hoping to get those done this week. We have a member of the club that has got a copy of them to look at, and we got scorecards sent out, and hopefully we can coordinate a meeting towards the end of this week to sit down and everybody compare their notes, make a recommendation to the court. The captain sent an email out, I believe, to everybody that had submitted a bid and let them know that we were not going to be able to be ready to make a recommendation today.
Yeah, those aren't just easy tasks to review and compare.
There were several boxes.
Are we going to move that system or in a new into a new facility, or will it not be easily to be done that way?
I don't know. It may depend on which system we choose to utilize. Usually, you know, they provide the equipment. Part of RFP identified that we were currently looking at a bond issue, and that if that happened, any contractual obligations that extended past the construction of a new facility would not apply necessarily.
Well, what would the length be of the contract there?
Typically 5 years.
Okay, that gets you into it then.
But does it force your hand with the new jail?
Force it to.
I mean, is there a possibility to negotiate a 36-month agreement?
I would think so. You know, if we want, we can put the recommendation on until after the election and see what's going on. We may well do that.
I would think given a 36-month, 2-year option to be, determined. Yes, ma'am.
I'm Cheryl Miner with Global Telling, and I just wanted to address what you just asked, because we're the incumbent right now. Normally what we do whenever one of our facilities builds a new, or one of our counties builds a new facility, we coordinate with them to install a brand new system at the new facility. We're not moving anything. So once you're ready to populate, move your population over there, you're ready to go, and then we'll remove the old system if you decide to, deactivate that old jail. So you won't have to worry about, and I would say that my other vendors in this business would do the same thing. So you don't have to worry about that.
But is there a cost? Is there a cost built in our agreement that's compensating for the time frame that we're contracted for, that so we walk away from what you just spent X amount of dollars to install and we move over? Is there a opt-out cost involved in that happening?
There has to be.
Well, I would figure if I went to your city and picked up trash, I want it for a period of time because that's how I'm carrying my equipment over that period of time.
And most of the contracts out there today are 3-year plus 2 annual renewals. That's the norm. It's part of the cost of doing business for us when you build a new facility to install a new system for you. We'll take the old system out and refurb it and place it elsewhere because most of it's cloud-based anyway.
I see.
And the phones are, they can be refurbed. So we'll put brand new ones in the new facility, they'll be ready to go, and when we take the old out, we'll just refurb them. So, not a major issue, we've done it for many, many years.
Not y'all's first rodeo.
Especially mine, I've been in business over 40 years, so yeah.
Okay. All right. Anything else on this? Okay. Let me ask you all, when we started in number 6, I do have a detention hearing scheduled across the street at 11, and I've got to get those done before I leave for Lubbock today.
It shouldn't take but about a second to vote on that. The prices far apart.
Yeah. Okay. Item number 6, discuss, consider, take action to select a contractor for a gunite project work at the Sheriff's Gun Range. Commissioner Harvey.
Selected 2 contractors that I could find. Tried to get more, couldn't. Antes Pools in Wichita Falls and Westmoreland Pools are 2 companies that do gunite work. They put in gunite pools. Both companies came and inspected the job, and we talked about how we would approach the job and execute the job. And I asked them to bid on that job, and I have those bids for you today. Antes Pools, a lump sum of $39,900. Westmoreland Pools, material and labor, lump sum of $83,711.40.
There's got to be something that's not apples to apples, Lee, don't you?
Yeah, I know what it is.
Up a flag. You've got that much room.
Did we request them to go ahead and draft an agreement we could review?
Commissioner Watts, would you like this gun range to be finished this calendar year? No, we did not.
Okay.
What I don't want to happen is you say, that group that we got to pour that gunite, will it all crack to pieces and fall down, and no one answers the phone over there anymore?
Well, both of these pool companies have been in Wichita Falls for a long time.
But what is
I don't believe they're going anywhere.
What is the warranty on their work, I think, is a reasonable question.
Well, what it says here is that on the one that I would assume would be the successful bidder, Antes Pools proposes to coat the interior gun range with approximately 1 inch to 1.5 inches of gunite. Includes the wire and the matting, the run of 3/8 steel on the top and 3/8 steel on the bottom. The gunite is to remain unfinished, which that's how I requested it because I didn't want it slick. Right. And there is no guarantee on cracks because it is, if you've ever played with gunite, you can hit it with a hammer and it breaks like little rocks. That's the nature of gunite. So yes, it's going to crack, expectedly. Expect it to crack. It is just erosion control, and it will last a long time.
What are they doing to keep the whole sheet of gunite from sliding in?
It's tied at the top and tied at the bottom with rebar. There's wire between those rebars, and then the gunite hangs onto the wire.
Right.
But, what holds the rebars driven down into the berm? Or?
Yeah, yeah. You can't just lay it up there. If you've ever been around gunite, which we did a lot in the refineries, it's kind of like really thick oatmeal, okay? And it comes out the hose, and you can spray it on this vertical wall, and it'll stick. Well, in the refineries, we put a V-tine, we weld it to the steel wall, we put a V-tine every 12 inches apart. It just gives it, once it dries, it gives it something to hang on to because of the temperature swings. But you can squirt it on that wall and walk away from it without a V-time, and it's stuck to that wall. And that's just its characteristics.
Well, what was the difference here? Is it the mount they're applying?
No.
What was the?
I heard one say that this is a government job, we'll make good on it. The other guy was just more, let's see he just had a different approach to it. He was griping about his taxes. And I said, well.
Who is that?
This is John Ante.
Yeah.
First time I met him, he was kind of a nice guy.
He has been in business a long time. Good work.
So, I mean, we walked through it. We have a clear understanding of what's to be done.
Did the architects write any specs for this, or is this a look and do?
Nope.
Okay.
This is a Lee Harvey spec. I want this, this, and this. And it's based on my experience in the refineries of what it takes to make it hold.
Okay.
So it's really not all that hard, folks.
And then this will come over the top of the berm, correct?
It will. I talked to Trinity Hughes. I told them I wanted the light poles installed and wired so that I can gun up around them. So that, instead of having just come up to it and dirt.
And will we mow the back side of the berm?
Hopefully not. I've got with a company, Lance, it's in my phone here. Anyway, they do these mats that you lay out there, and they're full of seeds, a native. He does it for the TxDOT and stuff.
Like seltzer pads is what they look like.
Yeah, kind of. Yeah. But you put these down, and they're full of seeds, and it's all these native weeds, plants,
flowers
that they put out there that holds the soil. He said they're guaranteed for like 5 years. The mats are, get time to rain on it and get up and all that stuff. So. Yeah, I don't think he's planting crabgrass.
If we move the stray animals out there, we can graze them on that. Get those with the legs like that.
I mean, I just know how maintenance is at the berms, football field berms that I will park, and I grew up mowing them. And that's a chore. Inside you couldn't, but the backside we did. We mowed them with tractor, and it was just always a.
We have a plan of trying to lay those, haul all the dirt we got with Jerry and Bill and Leon and Don, and we're going to try to lay those backsides
a little flatter.
Get some dirt around there so that it is more manageable.
But my question was, if we're going to mow, does it?
The plan is not to mow. That's the plan.
But you don't think it'll be a pigsty-looking place with Johnson grass and sunflowers and all growed up?
Should not be any Johnson grass. But, I mean, we're going to plant specific seeds in there. I can get Lance, I cannot remember his last name. Spraggins, to give us some pictures of some work that he's done to see what it would look like.
Well, he's good, and he knows what he's doing.
I think
there.
the sheriff has a crew that could probably weed that. They're not busy. They're not.
Weed pickers.
Yeah.
Weed pickers.
I just didn't know if the time came when that, and it had to be, it could be mowed up and down or sideways or whatever the case be, that they're stepping on the gun.
It could always be weed eated.
Or weed eated, but I just didn't want them to get up to the top, step on the gunite, and crack it all to pieces.
Well, it would crack if you can walk on it, but
no.
I mean, Nancy could walk on it, but I couldn't walk on it. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I mean, it'll take some abuse, but not over abuse.
Okay.
So my motion is to accept the bid from Antes Pools in the amount of $39,900.
Any other comments?
And that'll come with some form of warranty that we'll tie into. No warranty whatsoever. Quits tomorrow, and I mean, we don't have nothing other than what he wrote here.
Right. It's going to crack.
Yeah, but it's sliding off that we're talking.
It's not going to slide off.
Okay.
I promise you that. It will be anchored appropriately.
Okay. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries 5-0. All right, we're down to any staff reports. Sheriff.
One comment I'm going to ask about the, since we got the gun situation identified and what's to be done with it, can we revisit the concreting of the 25-yard line firing range area, and the actual standing area versus asphalt?
We could if it was on the agenda, but Judge is real strict about that.
As long as we do it right, we're going to be able to get Randy.
Part of what needs to happen before anything else is done on that flat surface is get everything down there at the end that's got heavy traffic coming into it. Get that done. And I think we were kind of, the deal was to wait to see what this costs today. Okay. Yeah.
Which brings up an interesting question, Judge, is what will the future requirements for moving equipment in and out of there be? Do we know? To maintain that, what do we call it, bullet catcher? What, I mean, is there?
It does.
Weed pickers.
It's all ground up tires and stuff. The box is heavy, but the actual bullet entrapment part of it is ground up tires that blow in there and go over there. They come in, they rake them down, rake them out, shake them, clean them, blow them back up.
Yeah, but that's my question. What do they bring in there to do that with? That really matters. We really need to know.
Piece of equipment, or if that's even up to us, how they clean it, or, different companies out here do clean.
Yeah, well, we kind of need to.
They come in and get the best.
I mean, there's a lot of difference between going in there with a 50,000-pound piece of equipment and with a 5,000-pound.
We didn't give them much room to get in there once we put that building back.
Yeah,
it can't be very big, because the city goes inside theirs and they've only got like
limited space.
Yeah. Why don't we ask them what they do? Just.
Yeah.
And they come in, they shake it. They said they rake it down, scoop it out, they shake it out, and then put it back up in there. So, and they're driving over their concrete, and they're driving, and they have very little room to get in there.
Okay.
That would be a good piece of
Here's
information.
another thing, your target's in front, so they're not bringing a very big piece of equipment in there. Because you gotta work around them targets, and them targets only 4 foot apart.
Yeah.
So your equipment that's coming in there is pretty small as well.
Yeah, it could be. I mean, it could be a handheld deal. I don't know.
Well, we got plenty of hands out there.
Anything else? Anybody else in the audience?
Yeah, he does.
Okay. Commissioners. Commissioner Beach, anything?
Just remind everybody about the Circle Trail Tour Saturday. Come out and walk and enjoy the city's Circle Trail.
Okay. Commissioner Harvey.
Daughters of the Texas Republic next Saturday in Burke Burnett.
Okay. What time is that? I can't. 11.
11 o'clock, Judge.
All right.
44 and 3rd Street, I believe.
Yeah, it's exit 14. That's where it's at.
Exit 14?
Yes. Exit 14 is the last exit going just before you cross the bridge.
That's right. They count them going north. Yeah. Okay. All right. Commissioner Waller.
Nothing at this time, Your Honor.
Commissioner Watts?
Yes, early voting started today. Encourage everybody to get out and cast their vote. Lori, thank you for getting us all squared away there. I've noticed that everybody's covering where those locations are and what's going on, and so that's good. And we want to get out and have a good turnout if possible. So.
Oh, one other thing, Judge, that I thought was really interesting this morning, I saw on the network news, they have found another copy of the Declaration of Independence. Did anybody see that?
Really?
It's in England, and it's in a historical deal. And I'm telling you guys, that's incredible.
Well, is it a copy?
Well, it seems to be a companion document, is the way I understood it, and because the signatures are in a different order than what the other one is. But I thought that was pretty incredible to find that after all this time.
What if there's anything in there that's going to help us out? We sure don't seem to be doing well with.
That they gave to the
Well, and that was my question. How did it wind up in,
I would
in
think they
Draper?
had to communicate it something. They didn't just, you
It
know.
was a declaration to them, so.
But all this time, and we did not know that.
Yeah, I doubt
we
it was
had
on
that.
CNN at that time.
Wow,
But,
that's interesting.
okay. One other thing, I noticed that Channel 3 is reporting that on the county infrastructure tax vote, that it would be a uniform 8.25% tax on everybody out in the rural area of the county. That is sales tax, not property tax.
Yeah.
So they are completely different animals.
And I heard some numbers on one of the reports that didn't sound anywhere near right this morning, but I didn't record what they were, but they were way off.
Okay.
Well, what report?
It was a news report. It was
Yeah,
what the
well, they
yield-
were using the
yield would be.
5.5 cents. Yeah.
It just
So they say it different each time, which has got to be confusing to people. So at any rate. Other thing we did want to be sure to remind JPs and Commissioners Court members, your financial statement is due to the county clerk by May 1st at close of business. $100 a day fine each day thereafter. And it does have criminal penalties.
If you file with the Ethics Commission, do you also have to file locally?
Yes, I'm pretty sure of that. I realize your board you serve on.
I have to file with the Ethics Commission, so I'll
Yeah.
have to file, okay.
Yes, sir.
And that one down there is electronic,
Yes, sir.
so, anyway, okay.
Okay.
Jail population is 495, so we have some extra room in case anybody.
Well, by the time it takes to proceed, if you can do as well as the Attorney General, you could be in the new jail. So, okay. Other thing, we received some bad news this morning. Jim Rasmussen's father passed away this morning. Jim and I talked last week, and his dad was not in good health. And so, at any rate, keep Jim and his family in your prayers then. All right. Anything else?
Glad to have Willie Wall back in his seat.
Yes, very much so.
Yeah. All right. If there's nothing else, it's 10:47 and we're adjourned. Appreciate everybody coming early today.
Dang.